The moment the minority threatens to become a big one, people get frightened.
Birmingham, the UK's second city. Multicultural, multiracial, vibrant. And 16 years from now, it's been predicted that more than half the people living here will be from what used to be called ethnic minorities.
If you come around here, I'll make them all day. I get one down in a second if you wait. I fly like paper, get high like planes. If you catch me at the border, I got visas in my name. If you come around here, I'll make them all day. I get one down in a second if you wait.
I'm here to find out how this change in demographic came about, what it might mean for race relations, the challenges that still remain, and how this city is coping being in a different spotlight.
Shopping in the Bullring Centre is a gay adventure, not an ordeal. You can stroll at ease through the shopping malls without a care in the world.
Back in the 1970s, Birmingham was the model city for regeneration, with its spaghetti junctions and new shopping centres, and it was an example for how the rest of the country was going to look. New tower blocks were being built, the car industry was booming, and there were jobs for all.
Gonna have to be a different man. That may change me.
But by the early 1980s, Birmingham's once proud manufacturing companies had become insufficient and were finding it tough to compete against cheap imports. The car industry went into decline and the city had one of the highest rates of unemployment in the country. The 1950s was a big time for immigration in Birmingham. There was a large Irish community that moved here because there was a lot of work on in the city. And as work was plentiful, immigrants, particularly from Southern Asia and Africa, moved here to places such as Handsworth and Digbeth. Bob Reed moved to Birmingham from Dublin in 1967 after he saw a job going at West Midlands Police. He explained he found it hard at times being an Irishman in the city.
When they had the Birmingham bombings here, following morning I gets up to go to work. Knew nothing. And the man who was in charge of me, a sergeant, said, "Are you all right, Bob?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Have you got much work on today?" So I've got a couple of visits I have to do. I was in crime prevention, visiting factories and advising the security. And he said, "Let Keith have those jobs." So I said, "Why?" He said, "Don't you know what's happened?" So I says, in innocence, I says, "No." He says, "There'd been a bombing in Birmingham." He said, "I think you ought to go home." So I says, "Why?" He says, "You're Irish." So I gets home. My wife was there crying. Two children. They didn't know. They were only this. I said, "What's happened?" She said, "The women at the school won't speak to me because I'm Irish."
When it came to immigration, Birmingham was put in the spotlight once again after Conservative politician Enoch Powell made his chilling Rivers of Blood speech here at this Birmingham hotel in 1968. He warned his audience of what he believed would be the consequences of mass immigration.
In this country, in 15 or 20 years' time, the black man will have the whip hand over the white man.
Migration patterns has shown an increase in Birmingham's ethnic residents over the years. In 1951, the population of people born in the new Commonwealth was under 1%. However, the 1981 census showed that the number of people living in a household where the head of the house was from the new Commonwealth or Pakistan was even greater, with 15% of the city belonging to that category. With second and third generations moving to the city, the ethnic minority population was increasing. 30% of all Birmingham's residents were of non-white ethnic origin in 2001. Sparkbrook had a black and ethnic population of 79.9%, whereas Bourneville, a place that lies on the outskirts of the city, the ethnic population was under 10%. So why has the ethnic population of Birmingham increased, and why do communities move to certain areas? Some researchers believe that the age of the country has played a big part in how the UK has changed.
The most basic explanation of the changes is the current age structure of the population. So the white British population has a fairly old age structure, and because it has a fairly even distribution of people in the different ages, there isn't any extra addition to population growth, which there is in each of the immigrant groups. So even if the fertility rates of immigrants are the same as the white British, and some of them are quite a bit lower, they're going to have a lot more children because of the age structure of the population. I mean, any community with a culture will want to set up its own community institutions. Most of those communities grow to occupy areas in cities simply because of the demographic change.
But this kind of segregation hasn't come without its problems. In the past, Birmingham has witnessed some of the worst kind of race riots this country's ever seen. The second lot of Lascelles and Handsworth riots in 2005 saw racial tension between the black and Asian community, sparked by the alleged gang rape of a teenage black girl by a group of Asian men. The consequences of these riots resulted in 2 deaths. Since then, violence has continued to descend in some parts of inner-city Birmingham. Dad of 3, Habib Malik, owns his own newsagents in Stetchford. He was stabbed in the neck and back and received multiple injuries as a group of white men tried to rob cigarettes from his shop back in 2008. He told me that although it was a terrifying experience, he wouldn't move out of the area.
Because it's not just a business, and it's not just a shop, we actually live here, it's our home. And because it happened basically in our home, it affected not just me. I've got 3 kids, my wife, they affected everybody in the family. But more so, I think it actually affected the community, thinking it happened at their doorstep. When people are in that situation, when they are afraid, they actually pull together. And I think that's where community spirit and everything comes together when things like this happen. The support I actually got when I saw in the Flowers and Get Well cards, and after, soon as I came in, everybody was coming in and asking about me, and that is priceless. You know, that you can't repay in any form or shape. You know, the support, the community support that people gave, and that totally concreted my decision that I was never going to move from here.
When it comes to immigration, Birmingham has a long history. As we've seen, the city has seen racial tension in the past. But what do the people of Birmingham think about this city possibly becoming one of the UK's first ever ethnic majority cities?
It doesn't affect me. I think it's good in a way, I suppose.
You know, with the diverse city Birmingham is, and obviously I grew up as a young age in Birmingham. It's an excellent thing, yes. And we all work together as well.
Actually, we're losing our identity fast. We are now in the minority, the whites of Birmingham.
It's fine by me.
I live in Newtown, which is predominantly a black and Asian community, and pretty much I'm the only white person on my street, and I absolutely love it. I know all the people, get on with them, fantastic. I love it. I love Birmingham.
Birmingham's dramatic change in the makeup of its population has the chance to become a model for a 21st century city. Kate Lewis, Just News.
Lights are blinding my eyes. People pushing